Picture this. You're watching the news, and protesters are setting the American flag on fire right in front of cameras, while crowds cheer and chaos erupts in the streets. For decades, this scene has played out across America, protected by a controversial Supreme Court ruling from 1989. But today, everything changed. President Trump just signed an executive order that could send flag burners to prison for a full year, and it's already causing a massive constitutional debate that's dividing the entire nation. What you're about to hear is one of the most significant challenges to First Amendment protections we've seen in decades. This morning, August 25, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order targeting those who burn or desecrate the American flag, declaring a one-year mandatory jail sentence with no early release. But here's the twist. The Supreme Court ruled in 1989 that flag burning is protected speech under the First Amendment. So how is Trump planning to get around this? And what does this mean for free speech in America? Stay with me because we're about to break down everything you need to know about this historic executive order, the constitutional battle that's about to unfold, and why this could reshape how we think about free speech versus patriotic symbols in America. Let's start with what happened just hours ago in the Oval Office. President Trump, surrounded by his staff, signed the executive order titled Prosecuting Burning of the American Flag. If you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month, you get 1 year in jail. And it goes on your record, and you will see flag burning stopping immediately. Now, I want you to understand the significance of what just happened. This isn't just another executive order. This is a direct challenge to a Supreme Court precedent that's been in place for over 35 years. According to the White House fact sheet released today, the order directs the Attorney General to vigorously prosecute those who violate our laws in ways that involve desecrating the flag, and to pursue litigation to clarify the scope of First Amendment in this area. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is something most people don't understand about how this order actually works. Trump's team isn't trying to directly overturn the First Amendment. Instead, they're looking for situations where flag burning occurs alongside other illegal activities. To really understand what's happening here, we need to go back to 1989 and a case that changed everything. Texas v. Johnson. Let me paint you the picture. It's 1984 outside the Republican National Convention in Dallas, Texas. A 28-year-old protester named Gregory Lee Johnson burns an American flag to protest President Ronald Reagan's policies. He gets arrested under a Texas law that prohibited desecrating venerated objects. But when the case reaches the Supreme Court, something unexpected happens. In a 5-4 decision that shocked conservative America, the court ruled that flag burning is symbolic speech protected by the First Amendment. Justice William Brennan wrote the majority opinion, stating that the government cannot prohibit expression simply because society finds it offensive or disagreeable. Even conservative Justice Antonio Scalia, who Trump praised as one of the best of all time, joined this decision. If there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. This decision struck down flag desecration laws in 48 states overnight. For over 30 decades, flag burning has been legal in America, even though it's deeply unpopular with most Americans. Polls consistently show that around 70% of Americans support making flag burning illegal. But here's what makes Trump's approach different and potentially genius from a legal strategy standpoint. Trump's legal team isn't trying to ban flag burning outright. That would be immediately struck down by the courts. Instead, they're using what I call the associated crimes approach. Let me break this down for you. According to the executive order, prosecutors will target flag burning when it occurs alongside other illegal activities, like inciting riots or violence, violating local fire ordinances, trespassing on private property, destruction of property, immigration violations for foreign nationals. And you burn a flag, the area goes crazy. When you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels we've never seen before. This is actually a pretty sophisticated legal strategy. They're not saying flag burning itself is illegal. They're saying that when flag burning leads to or accompanies other crimes, those associated crimes will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And there's another component that's getting less attention, but could be even more significant: the immigration aspect. The order directs the Secretaries of State and Homeland Security and the Attorney General to deny, prohibit, terminate, or revoke visas, residence permits, or naturalization proceedings and other immigration benefits, or seek removal from the United States wherever there has been an appropriate determination that flag desecration by foreign nationals permits the exercise of those remedies under applicable law. That means if you're not a U.S. citizen and you burn an American flag, you could lose your visa, green card, or even face deportation. That's a game changer that affects millions of people. Now, you might be wondering, why now? What's driving this executive order? The answer lies in a series of high-profile flag-burning incidents that have occurred over the past few years, and they've been getting more frequent and more aggressive. Let me walk you through some of the key incidents that led to this moment. First, during anti-Israel protests last summer, demonstrators pulled down American flags outside Union Station in Washington, D.C., and burned them alongside an effigy of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The images went viral and outraged millions of Americans. Then you had pro-Palestine protesters on college campuses like Columbia University, repeatedly burning flags during demonstrations. These weren't isolated incidents, they were becoming a regular feature of campus protests. Most recently, according to the White House fact sheet, recent protests, including those in Los Angeles in June 2025, have featured flag burning alongside violent acts and other conduct threatening public safety. But here's what really caught Trump's attention, and this is something that hasn't been widely reported. In many of these cases, the flag burning wasn't just symbolic protest. It was being used deliberately to provoke violent reactions from counter-protesters and police, essentially as a form of tactical escalation. Now, as you can imagine, this executive order is facing immediate and fierce opposition from civil liberties groups. Bob Corn-Revere, chief counsel at the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, didn't mince words in his response. President Trump may believe he has the power to revise the First Amendment with the stroke of a pen, but he doesn't. You don't have to like flag burning. You can condemn it, debate it, or hoist your own flag even higher. The beauty of free speech is that you get to express your opinions even if others don't like what you have to say. This raises some really important questions that every American should be thinking about. Where do we draw the line between protecting free speech and respecting national symbols? Can the government use associated crimes as a workaround to effectively ban speech it doesn't like? Here's where it gets really complex, and this is something that legal scholars are already debating. The Supreme Court has never ruled on whether flag burning that incites imminent lawless action loses its First Amendment protection. This is the legal theory Trump's team is betting on. The imminent lawless action standard comes from a different Supreme Court case, Brandenburg v. Ohio from 1969. It says that speech loses First Amendment protection if it's directed at inciting imminent lawless action and is likely to produce such action. So the question becomes, if you burn a flag knowing it will likely cause a riot, does that cross the line from protected speech to unprotected incitement? Let's talk about what this means practically and politically. First, the political angle. This executive order is incredibly popular with Trump's base. Polls consistently show that most Americans, including many Democrats, support making flag burning illegal. From a practical standpoint, this order puts prosecutors in a difficult position. They now have to decide when flag burning crosses the line from protected speech to prosecutable crime. This is going to lead to inconsistent enforcement and probably years of court battles. But here's what I think is the most interesting aspect, and this shows Trump's strategic thinking. By framing this as protecting the flag rather than restricting speech, he's put Democrats and civil liberties groups in the position of appearing to defend flag burning. That's not a popular position with most Americans. The people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on, and by people who are, in many cases,
paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it. They're bad people that are trying to destroy our nation. Trump is also connecting this to his broader America First message and his criticism of what he calls anti-American protests on campus cusses and in major cities. So what happens next? Well, buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride through the court system. First, expect immediate legal challenges. The ACLU, FIRE, and other civil liberties groups are probably filing lawsuits as we speak. These cases will likely seek preliminary injunctions to block enforcement of the order. Second, watch for test cases. Protesters will likely burn flags specifically to challenge this order, leading to arrests and court cases that will work their way up to the Supreme Court. Third, and this is the big one, we could see the Supreme Court take up this issue again. The current court is much more conservative than the 1989 court that decided Texas v. Johnson, with justices like Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas who have expressed skepticism about expansive interpretations of free speech rights. Trump might actually have a chance. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who was just confirmed, will play a crucial role in how aggressively this order is enforced. During the signing ceremony, she assured Trump that the Justice Department would enforce this order without running afoul of the First Amendment. Here's the bottom line. What we witnessed today could be the beginning of a fundamental shift in how America balances free speech rights with respect for national symbols. Whether you support this order or oppose it, you can't deny that it's historic. Trump has thrown down the gauntlet, challenging a 35-year-old Supreme Court precedent and forcing the country to have a conversation about patriotism, free speech, and what it means to respect the flag that so many Americans have died defending. This story is far from over. We're going to be following every legal challenge, every court decision, and every enforcement action that comes from this executive order. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think flag burning should be illegal, even if it means restricting First Amendment rights? Or do you believe that protecting free speech, even offensive speech, is more important than protecting symbols? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and please keep it respectful. This is exactly the kind of important constitutional debate our democracy needs to have. What other topics would you like us to dive deep into? Immigration enforcement, the latest Supreme Court decisions, campus protests? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this analysis helpful and want to stay informed about the biggest political and legal developments, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're committed to bringing you the most thorough, balanced coverage of the stories that matter most. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.